Hey everyone, I wanted to come on here because I have a ton of friends having little babies right now, which is amazing. And I'm realizing how little it's talked about getting that scar tissue worked on if you've had a C-section. So there's a lot of different reasons why a doctor will choose to do a C-section, or a woman may opt to schedule a C-section. But they basically cut through and go in to get the baby out rather than coming out vaginally. So that you can go back a couple weeks, I posted that image of the different directions of a C-section scar. It's usually lower now and horizontal, but there's a lot of old ones that are more vertical and come up a little bit higher. But the key point here is that only 10%, about 10% of the scar is seen, and the depth of the scar can really start to affect the surrounding organs. So you've got all the different tissue layers getting down to the organs, your muscles, your nerves, your connective tissue, blood vessels, fat, all of that stuff. And then underneath you have the intestines, the uterus, the ovaries, fallopian tubes, lots of different tissue that can become really sticky. So number one, it's exposed to the outside air, and this can make it really sticky, but it's also a wound. So when that area is opened up, there's a wound that needs to heal. And a natural healing process is to lay down that scar tissue to make sure that the tissue heals properly and is able to get nice and strong. So the tissue strength isn't always as strong as the original, but it's as strong as it's gonna get. So to a certain extent, we want that scar tissue, but what'll happen is if the scar tissue is again surrounding the intestines, it can turn into IBS, so irritable bowel syndrome, constipation, organ prolapse. It can also make it really difficult for the abdominal muscles to activate again. So whatever stage you're in the motherhood transition, whether you know you're gonna have a C-section, plan on having someone evaluate that tissue. So you can work with a women's health physical therapist. You can go on the Baral Institute website and search someone who's done VM3, which is the pelvic organ area, to get some specific work. So the stuff that I'm gonna show you here in a minute is not gonna replace a practitioner putting their skilled hands on you to ensure the tissue and the surrounding organs and the muscles are moving and working properly. But the lovely Jill Miller created this ball, the Gorgeous Ball. You guys mostly know that I love this ball, and it's because it's super grippy. So it's gonna mimic the way that my hands could work connective tissue on a woman. So you want to check with your OB, with your doc, to see when it's okay to work the scar tissue. So this is something maybe even 3 months out we have to wait, but it's dependent per person. This is where it's good to work with a practitioner. But once that scar is able to be worked on, what we can do is, I'm going to lift this up, and because this is grippy, I can literally take the ball on my belly here and twist it side to side. I can move it up and down, and you'll see a lot of this can be done standing, but it's also, I think it's best when you're laying down because everything can relax. But I'm literally just grabbing and moving the tissue. I'm showing you a little bit higher, so the scar is going to be a little bit lower down. I'm showing you my full belly from Just Be Kitchen. They just fed me my delicious lunch. So working that scar tissue is super important just on the front like this. If you have the diastasis recti, where the abdominals have not quite come back together the way that they're supposed to, the next one that I'm gonna show you, you don't wanna lay directly on a ball. Let the practitioner that you're working with guide you, but you're gonna do a lot more of this side work here. So I'm gonna bring you down here. So once I get some of that scar tissue moving, this way, and things have relaxed a little bit, they've healed in here, I can start to lay on my stomach like this and work some of that scar tissue. So I can come side to side, I can really get creative and twist my body different directions. This one, it's super important to always feel like you can breathe well. I would not recommend after a full meal, which is really uncomfortable right now. If you're not breathing well, your body's not gonna actually relax on it. So if it's extremely uncomfortable, you can go to the first one that I was doing and then work yourself up to this. This is just a couple minutes at a time. You don't have to be really intense. And again, if this is too intense, what we could do is you can also come up against a wall and work this way, okay? So you're gonna find what works for you, but just know that that scar tissue, it's extremely important to make sure that it's moving well. And you'll notice it's gonna start to change the way that you can activate your core, the way that you're breathing, the way that you're digesting and illuminating food. And again, it does not matter what part of your motherhood transition you're in. If your baby is 20 years old, 40 years old, it's still important to start working on this tissue. You may not get the same effects as you would have if it was right after the C-section, but super important to start addressing it and making sure that tissue is moving well. So give it a shot, let me know how it goes, let me know how it changes your world. If you don't have one of these balls, you can go in my profile link and purchase one, the cordless ball. It's amazing. There's no other ball I would recommend to do this type of work. This is not a kettlebell, a soccer ball, that kind of stuff. This is something nice and soft and gentle that your organs will accept. All right, everyone, enjoy your holidays, and I will see you later.